Hey, what's up? Welcome to Just Josh. That is the name that I've given to my podcast. So that's what I'm going to call this, Just Josh. My name is Josh, in case you're wondering, in case that didn't make sense. Kept the title simple and really, because I want this to be simple. I mean, I'm a simple guy. Most of what I talk about is not going to be deep, groundbreaking, theological, life-altering, although I hope it helps, but I'm a simple guy. So I honestly think a strength of mine is taking things that might be more complicated and simplifying and communicating that to people, because I have to do that for myself. So I think when I say strength of mine, I mean, like, I do a decent amount of speaking at my church. You know, I'm about to start this internship year where I'll be working with these young adults at my church, and I do, chapels at the high school and middle school. But I think I do a decent job. I'm not going to say I'm great. I'm not going to say I'm the next big thing or like I'm this amazing communicator. But I think a strength of mine is taking maybe more complex things and simplifying them and making them practical and applicable to your life. There's a lot of people that probably understand life or scriptures or things better than me, but sometimes those people that are really smart tend to be like intellectual, and so they use a lot of big words, and they have a hard time communicating it to the everyday common man, which I think I might not, again, understand or know as much as they do, but I can communicate to people maybe a little bit better, especially, working with young adults, youth. But I think even adults, sometimes we might pretend like we understand it all. And really there's things that go over our heads, and we're maybe afraid to admit that we don't know, that it's too complicated. So we'll leave with, oh yeah, that was great, that was good. But then when it really like stop to think, we're like, I don't even know what was even said. Again, that's a Sunday morning service or a meeting or talking with friends or whatever. I don't know. You ever had those people that are like really good at talking, and then you like think later and you're like, but wait, what did they actually say? Like, that's not me. Hopefully you can also leave thinking that was a good conversation, but not necessarily. But hopefully you know what I'm saying and you understand, and it's something that you can apply to your life. And something that makes sense for you. So, kind of a long introduction, but that's why I'm calling this Just Josh. It's just me. It's simple. Again, not just me. I will have some conversations later on, but back to my last episode about trusting people. It's easier to just do it yourself sometimes, right? So that's part of why I'm doing these. I'm not going to try to have a conversation in all of them, because I'm not going to try to book a guest all the time, because schedules with people and things and can get complicated. I'm going to do some of those because I think they're important, but I won't do just that. I just talked to my wife. She will do one of these with me. She'll do multiple, I'm sure, but hopefully one soon, about a conversation we were having in the car yesterday or the other day, depending on when this airs, about marriage and the way the Bible talks about it and the way Christians talk about it, because it doesn't necessarily always line up. For Christians say things, quote the Bible, and think they're talking about marriage one way when I don't think that's what the verse is saying at all. But that's another conversation. But for this one, I want to talk about seasons, and I'm starting a new season. Depending on when I actually post this, which I'm hoping to have it up by Monday, Labor Day, that next day. So maybe tomorrow, Tuesday, I will officially start this new season of my life as internship coordinator at my church. And technically that's been my title, and I've moved my hours to working on the internship in the next gen department. But Tuesday is when they show up, right? I've had conversations with them, obviously. We've had an orientation, emails, plans, communication, all that great stuff. But Tuesday is when they start, when they report. We got 13 young adults, ages 18 through 26, I think is the oldest, that I will have 3 days a week that I will be responsible for. We'll do teaching sessions, classes, like kind of in the morning, We'll be involved in different staff prayer once a week, but also just different staff things might be part of. They're going to help me with MCA chapels, and we'll do some different outreaches and things, social media opportunities. Some of them are interested in worship. Our worship leader in the youth ministry will help them with that. They'll help the youth pastor at our church with, sermon prep, planning services, any of that stuff, right? They'll do a lot of stuff within the Next Gen ministry, and I'm excited about it. And it's really cool. And I've told people, in planning this, when initially I was offered this job and then switching my hours and planning the internship has all been like, okay, yeah, it's all right. I mean, I get, it'll be a chance to help people. If this is, the opportunity that God has for me and wants me to do, I'll do it. I wasn't like upset about it, but I wasn't necessarily excited. I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. But as I started to meet with the people and get to know them, and we did interviews before we accepted them, and as I got to know them and seen the different personalities and some of them that already know each other, but some of them that don't, but I think it's like, oh, they'll be a good fit. Like this person will help this person maybe come out of their shell a little bit, or maybe this person, I can just start to see the dynamics and get to know the people. I really like the group that we have, and that's what's gotten me really excited. I've worked at different areas within the church, but it's the part that I love about working for a church and doing ministry, which isn't always easy, but the part that I love is the people. And it's interesting because I'm not an extrovert, and I don't like to be around people all the time. I love my alone space. Even when we did a movie night with the young adults, again, depending on when this is posted, but on Thursday, the day before I'm recording this, I just got together and watched a movie up at the church. We had Chick-fil-A, and it was fun. It was good. Actually, side note, Emperor's New Groove is way better than I remember. Like, I remember it being like pretty good, but I was like, this movie is fantastic. So side note, free tip, watch Emperor's New Groove. It's great. If you've never seen it, you're missing out. If you have seen it, it's better than you remember. Like I remember thinking like it's an okay movie, but it was really good. Like we were laughing pretty hard. But I say that to when we have these groups, I like the people that are there, right? And I do talk to people, make sure visitors feel welcome, whatever. But I'm exhausted afterward. Like it's work. Like it takes something in me to get up for those sort of events. And so I'm an introvert. I recharge by being at home. I love being at home. If you gave me an option between staying home at night or going out to something fun, typically, honestly, I'm going to choose staying home. I say that to say I don't always like having people around, but I do love people. And so ministry is about people. And when I starting to get to know these people that will be in the internship, and I already knew some of them decently well, but knowing all of them, their backgrounds and where they're coming from and where they're trying to get to, I'm really excited about this internship year and what God is going to do in the lives of these 13 young men and women. But with new seasons come sometimes, excitement, but also can maybe some challenges. I was talking to people this week, like it feels real now. It's no more like the planning phase. This is like the doing phase. And I'm a planner, feel like I have a good plan. I have, pretty decently detailed schedules for the year. I've already talked with people that are going to teach classes and, calendar invites and, some people on board. Our executive teaching pastor is doing a Q&A once a month. We have a guest minister who we're just really connected with the youth. He speaks at our camp every year, and he's signed up to do some classes. Like there's a lot that's already settled, but then there's a lot that's like, okay, now it's happening. Now they're going to be here, and it just becomes real, right? So as I'm stepping into this new season, before I officially step into this new season, my wife and I want to take a vacation, just a quick getaway. And we went back to San Diego. And Talia, if you're watching this, you can stop watching now because I don't need you to make fun of me later about always talking about San Diego. But it was amazing. So for everybody else, My wife and I used to live in San Diego for a couple of years. Wasn't a long time. Long story, an opportunity from my wife's work. Her boss, she worked at a DSW, and she was an assistant manager. Her boss was the manager there, got asked to take the store in San Diego, and this was like 7 years ago. And he offered her and another employee, I don't know, maybe there was more that he offered to go with, but these two for sure, my wife and a friend of hers who, I don't know if she was a manager, but was like another higher level, good employee. And my wife came back and from her boss telling her that he was moving to San Diego and taking that store. And I was like, he said we could come with if we wanted, like kind of joking. And I was kind of like, let's do it. Like, let's go. Like, why not? I had a good job. We were both working full time at the time. We were doing okay financially. We had bought in this house that we live in now. But I just felt like, yeah, let's go. Let's do something different. We don't have kids. We can do that. I quit my job. She obviously was moving down there. She wasn't trying to climb a corporate ladder or own a DSW or be a store manager there at some point, but it was an opportunity to move to San Diego. I told her, I said, she moved to North Dakota for me when we got married. I can move to California for her. I think we'll be all right. And we had been to San Diego for our honeymoon, actually, when we got married in 2012. So it was 5 years to the day, actually, the week. It was like a couple days before our anniversary that we got there. But that we moved to the city that we honeymooned at 5 years before. So really cool. We had an opportunity to we decided to rent out our house and not sell it because we'd only had it a couple of years, which was an experience. I'm not going to go into all that. If you are interested in renting out your house, come talk to me because I have some do's and don'ts maybe that I learned from that experience. But we went to San Diego. It was a challenge. It was tough. It was great. Love San Diego. Beautiful weather. The beach. It's literally perfect year round. Literally, it's like between 65 and 80, like almost every day. And every hour of every day. It's not like we have in Minnesota, we have bigger temperature changes in one day than they have in their entire year. Like, you look at their forecast, do it, and you'll see the low, we're in August, so the low is maybe like 70 something, maybe 75, and the high is like 85. And it's just but it's amazing. Year round, it's perfect. Coldest they'll get in the winter is like 60 and some rain. And the hot, they don't even get I don't even think they hit 90 while we were there. And it only rained probably 10 days the whole 2 years we were out there. Anyway, San Diego was great. So my wife and I went back there for just a long weekend, just this last weekend. And it was phenomenal. We loved it. And I mentioned in my first video here that after summer camp, I really felt peace, maybe the most peace I've ever had about this is where I'm supposed to be in the season. And God was very intentional with that. Thank God that he did do that for me, because being back in San Diego last weekend, I was like, maybe we should move back. Maybe we should come back. This is great. This is fantastic. I love it here. But God reminded me, no, for this season right now, this is where you're supposed to be. And I don't know for how long. I don't know how long it's going to be. That's the thing about seasons, is you don't know how long they're going to be. And it was one of those things I learned. God talked to me a lot about seasons while we're in San Diego, which I think is kind of funny, only because they don't have actual seasons there. Like I said, the weather is perfect year round. But growing up in Minnesota, we have seasons, and sometimes we have all 4 seasons in the same day. But man, when it's winter, you know it. When it finally becomes spring, I love spring in Minnesota when the snow finally melts, the grass is green, and kids are out riding their bikes again. You can grill, you got bonfires, the whole state comes alive in the spring. There's nothing like it. You don't get that in San Diego because the weather's perfect year round, right? Summer in Minnesota is beautiful. Obviously, sometimes it gets too hot. And then fall with the leaves changing, football season, right, getting started. Fall's great. And then again, you go into winter, and for the first month of winter, it's not bad because you get Christmas and you love snowfall on Christmas or whatever. Like last Christmas being 52 and rainy, it was like this isn't Christmas. So you want that, right? You want the season. So I learned a lot about seasons, obviously growing up in Minnesota, but it was in San Diego when we moved there, and we knew that it wasn't permanent. We knew that we weren't gonna, settle down and raise a family in San Diego. That was never the plan. Or never, and we didn't do that because we thought we might do that. We didn't do that because we thought Jocelyn was going to climb some ladder and work for DSW, and manage a store or work for corporate or something. If that was where God had us, we'll cross that bridge if we need to, but that wasn't the intent either. We didn't know anybody out there. We had one friend from church who was in the Marines and was stationed out there. He was in, when we went out there, which he was done and moved back to Minnesota, maybe a month after we got there. But he got us connected to a church. We didn't really know of a church before we went out there. We loved the church that we went to. Shout out to Rock Church San Diego. Pastor Miles McPherson, loved it. It was great. Met some really good people, Pastor Mike, and his wife, Pastor Vince, and his wife. Good people. It was great. But going out there, like I said, I quit my job. She was working her job. I was doing some freelance video stuff. But I really people would ask, oh, what'd you come out here for? Okay, it was for the job, but just kind of not really. We just felt like this was where God was supposed to have us. How long are you being here? I don't know how long we're going to be here. We're just kind of trusting God in this moment. And now let me be honest, it's probably easier to trust God in San Diego when the weather's perfect than if he calls you to live in Oklahoma like he did for me for 4 years. I went to school in Oklahoma. But San Diego's expensive. So whenever there's bills to pay, and I'm not working full time, barely even part time. I'm doing some freelance projects here and there, but it was stressful. And my identity and my purpose. And I'm like, what am I doing out here? And people ask, how long are you going to be here? What are you doing here? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing for how long. It's just, I feel like for this season, this is where God has me. And he really continued to speak to me while we were out there. And then even coming back, because when we came back, it still wasn't okay, we did the San Diego thing, we're done. Now we're back in Minnesota with our family, with our church, with our friends. It was no, for this next season, we're supposed to be back in Minnesota. We knew that. My old boss called and asked if we were thinking about coming back. We had already been talking about advice on freelance stuff. We're friends, right? But he had asked if we were planning on moving back at all. Our lease was up. They're raising our rent again. A lot of different external factors too, but ultimately we just felt okay, it was peace to move back. One of the things I had to fight was we just got out here 2 years ago. And it was a lot of work to get out there. You can watch a video on my YouTube about driving out there with the rental truck and towing the car on the back through the mountains in Colorado and Arizona. And, a lot of work to get out there. And then we got in right as the sun was going down. And again, like I said, we knew one guy, who offered to come help us move. We were up 3 flights of stairs. And we couldn't have done without him. So shout out to Vinny, because man, definitely could not have done that without him. But thinking through all of that, and then I'm okay, but now we're going back. And God just said, no, you were out there for a reason. And it so frustrates me because I'm I want a clear reason. I wanted while I was out there to meet someone who we started a company, or they had lots of money and they got connected with this and doing this. Definitely learned some things, definitely made some good connections. Got involved with FCA, which I still do now and I love, but it never felt like that was it. This is the big thing on why you moved to San Diego. And then we're moving back, and it was okay, we're moving back, and we didn't, why were we out there? Well, for that season, that's where we were supposed to be. Now, I didn't know, in 2019 we moved back, I didn't know what 2020 was going to bring. Didn't know that we're going to lose Sav in January. I didn't know COVID. I didn't know George Floyd and race riots. I didn't know city burning down, Minneapolis being on fire. I can't imagine. And then I didn't think that I was going to lose not only a good family friend in Sunday Burquest, but grandparents and people, and just stuff that I definitely am glad that I'm home for, because I can't imagine if we'd have lost Savon while we were out there in San Diego. I mean, it was the most horrible experience of my life, but at least we had family and friends that we were close to, that we could cry on their shoulders, and we could be there with them and go through that with them. I can't imagine getting that news in California and then trying to Jocelyn get off work and plan to fly back and be here for maybe just the funeral, but then we got to go back, and again, I can't imagine being in California while Minneapolis, my city, is on fire, right? So crazy, a lot of stuff that I'm like, okay, I feel like I understand why we weren't supposed to be in California for that season. And then, like I said, now with my involvement in the church and switching over to Next Gen, doing youth ministry, the kids that are in youth ministry at the time right now, the young adults, the internship, the Maranatha chapels, this is where God has me right now. And I say right now because of seasons. And I want to talk about seasons because I can't tell you how long this season's going to be, but I know for this season, this is where I'm supposed to be. And I look at my life now more as seasons than distinct set time. Like, yeah, I know this internship season will at least go through May, because that's how long this first year of the internship is. God's not going to call me away. I'm not going to quit mid-season for any reason, honestly, with this internship. I'm committed to doing it at least through May. I can't promise he'll be back next year. I think I will. I probably will. I have no reason not to right now, but I'm not going to commit beyond this season. I'm going to commit to being in the season that I'm in. I'm the kind of person who's always looking forward, either with excitement or regret. Not regret's the wrong word, but excitement or maybe being scared of what's next, right? Afraid of what's next, or excited about what's next, and having a hard time being in this season that I'm in right now. That's really something that God has been working with me on. So real quick, I want to go through four things that I think are consistent in every single season. And so as you look at your life, go through your life, no matter what season you're in, maybe you're in high school, maybe you're in college, maybe you graduated, but you don't know what's next. Maybe you're an adult, maybe you got grandkids, maybe you're an empty nester for the first time, or a lot of different things. There's a lot of different seasons in life. And so I just want to talk about about four things that will help you, I think, in every single season. At least they help me looking at seasons this way, right? So the first one is that seasons are temporary. Every season of your life is temporary. There is no season that will last forever. No job, no friendships, relationships, no people in your life that will be there forever. It's temporary, good or bad, right? So don't get too high on good seasons, but don't also get too down on low seasons, right? Storms pass, right? We had a really bad storm here. We had a bad one yesterday too, but Monday was really bad here in Minnesota, and it passed. It ended. The sun is shining. I'm looking out my window right now. Perfectly blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. Storms pass, seasons change, they end. In Minnesota, we never know when winter's going to end. It never ends as soon as we want it to. We know that fall is coming. It's very hot today, but I know soon it's going to be too cold. I'm excited for sweatshirt weather, though. Football season, sweatshirt weather, leaves changing. I love fall in Minnesota. But every season does end. Every season in your life will pass, good or bad. So if you're in a tough season right now, I want to encourage you, be all right, be strong, stick with it, keep your head up, trust in God, and this season will end, and you'll go on to something else. Even difficult seasons, it's nice to know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. The second thing I want to say about seasons is that every season has a purpose. And again, that purpose might be to learn and grow from a difficult situation. It might just be to lean on your family and friends when things are tough, right? That's what a lot of 2020 taught me. It might be to lean and trust on God, which is always a good thing, right? Even more so than family and friends. But I like to use the example at a funeral. Funerals are so sad, and I've went to a lot more in the last 4 years than my entire life combined, for sure. They're so sad, but there's something about celebrating the life of someone you lost with your family and friends, and something even beautiful about like crying with them. And I'm not a super emotional person. I don't like to cry in front of people, but I mentioned when Savon died, there was people that I cried with that I never thought I would cry with. And I just remember going to work and nobody could put on a fake face about they're doing okay, because we all knew and loved Savon. So you see people in the hallway, nobody was like, oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. It's like, no, we weren't good. And there's something beautiful about that, about being with that together. And that was the first time I would say that Joss and I lost someone together. We both lost family members on either side, and I comforted her and she comforted me, but we hadn't lost people together. We both lost Savon. And so there's something, as sad as that was, there's something beautiful about that. Seasons can be tough, but there's no season that its purpose is to just get through. Sometimes you have to, like I said, look for that light at the end of the tunnel, but I think God has something for you in every season. Sometimes it's a lesson that you need to learn. Sometimes it's just leaning close to him, to family and friends, finding that joy in the struggle, in the midst of this sad season. Sometimes it's finding the joy in family and friends and the people that God has put in your life, right? People are often a huge part. They're always a part of. They're often a huge part of the season that you're in, and the purpose for that season is the people that are in your life are only in your life maybe for this season, and they're in there on purpose. God absolutely, I talked about in the last episode, God absolutely puts people in your life for a reason. It's intentional. It's to help you fulfill your purpose, and it's for you to help them fulfill their purpose. But the people in your life are absolutely a huge part of what God has called you to do in this season. It's easy. I do a lot of preaching to high schoolers and middle schoolers. It's easy to explain to them, I think, that the people in your life in school will not be in your life forever. Certainly not to that extent, right? I've been out of high school 20 years now. I still talk with some of my friends from high school, but most of them I don't. Even who were my best friends in high school, that I still consider some of my best friends today, I don't talk that often. You don't have the opportunity to speak into their lives like you did in high school. You'll never have that same opportunity again, even if you go to college with them, roommate with them, stay in similar circles. It's not the same. It's not at all. So how can you help those people that are in your life? How can you impact them? What can you get from them? What can you give to them? I'm talking your family, your neighbors, the checkout person at Target. That's one thing. I'm like, how can I leave with them with a positive interaction? I'm not outgoing. I'm not going to say a lot. I actually have a hard time focusing on putting my PIN number in and talking to them at the same time. So I don't say a lot at a checkout. I try to say something. If God gives me more to say, or I pray every day that God puts someone in my path and gives me the words to say, which got some stories that I can tell you at some point about that. But everybody's in your life for a reason. And even for that brief moment, what can you do? Is it a smile? Is it how's your day going? Is it, can I pray for you? The third thing that I want to talk about is that you need to commit to this season that you're in. And that's when I was in San Diego. I was like, I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know for how long we're going to be here, but I'm going to commit to that. I told you guys, I don't know how long I'm going to be in this season in Minnesota working at my church in the internship. But I know that while I'm here, I'm going to give everything I can to this season, because that's important. So many of us are looking ahead at what might be next, that we don't embrace the season that we're in right now. You just have to commit to the season that you're in. I recently coached basketball. I was assistant coach for my nephew's team. I won't go into the whole story, but there was a couple kids that quit midway through the season because it wasn't going the way that they wanted to or whatever. I'm not going to go into that. But I just remember my parents would never let me quit a sport mid-season, no matter whether I liked it, if the coach was mean, if the teammates were mean, whatever. My parents would say, you sign up for the sport, you play it for that season. When the season's over, we can address if you want to play it again next year. But when you sign up, you're doing this season, right? And I know again, I don't have kids, so I'm not going to try to judge other people or what they're doing. But I know that there's kids that will let me try playing basketball when they're younger. And then after a couple of weeks, they're like, no, basketball's not as fun as I thought it was going to be. So they quit. Or this coach doesn't play me like I thought, or these kids aren't. It just wasn't an option for me. And I said seasons are temporary, but it's also not an option to quit, to go to whatever might be next, whether it's better or worse or whatever. You're in this season right now. Again, it may be 10 minutes, it may be 10 years. Commit to the season you're in right now. Don't worry about what might happen next. Don't worry about what did happen in the past. Commit to the season that you're in right now. That's so important because God has something for you, like I said, in this season. He's got purpose for you in this season. You got to commit to the season that you're in right now. And so I'm not going to worry too much about what might come next after this internship year in May, if I come back or don't, whether, I don't know, the church is still there, whether I get fired or I get an opportunity to go somewhere else, or a lot can happen, right? But I'm not going to worry about or think about what might happen next, because I'm going to commit to the season that I'm in, and I'm going to give everything I have to this season and what God's called me to do now, and not worry about what might happen next. And then the last thing that I want to say is, just to kind of end on a good note, is enjoy the season that you're in. I like to use the example of the 98 Vikings, because I was a kid and I loved that 98 Vikings. I loved Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Randall Cunningham, Gary Anderson in the perfect regular season. Such a fun season. 15-1, best season in franchise history. Just loved it. Like, they were so much fun, scored so many points, and we were all like singing about the Super Bowl and practicing our parade routes and buying decor for our Super Bowl party that we just knew we were going to have. And when we didn't, it was crushing. And I still look back at that. Most Vikings fans will look back at the 98 season with disappointment. And even though it was the most fun season we've ever had, I loved it, we look back with, but we didn't finish the job. We didn't get that Super Bowl. We're so concerned with what might happen next that we did not enjoy the season we're in right now. Instead of enjoying those 15 wins, we just kind of like looked past it all, overlooked it, and looked to the Super Bowl that we thought we might get. So then my perspective shifted. So in 2009, I remember that. So then in 2009, when we had Brett Favre here, I was like, I'm going to enjoy every single moment, and I'm going to enjoy every win. Greg Lewis in the back of the end zone. That beating we put on Dallas in the playoffs, like just embraced, enjoyed every single moment. And so then when we lost to the Saints, it was tough. It was frustrating, but the whole season wasn't a waste. I had one bad day instead of, and now I can look back at the season fondly, even though it ended poorly. We're 98. For the most part, most Vikings fans will tell you, will get sad or get a little frustrated when you talk about 98. And then when 2017 with Case Keenum, like, that was all just, we're playing with house money. Anything was just bonus, right? And the miracle was just phenomenal. Again, even though what happened next was not great, that's okay. I enjoyed the miracle. I fully embraced it. My mind wanted to go to, but we better win this next one, and then we got a chance to win a Super Bowl at home. I didn't go there because I was like, no, sit in this moment, enjoy this moment, embrace this season. Again, embrace the season that you're in. God has purpose for you, including the people that are around you, but also there's things to enjoy in this season that you're not going to have next season. You might never get again. Some of that's the people. Some of that's maybe financially you're in a better position than you might be later. I don't know. There's been times when I was doing okay financially and then got laid off, and then I'm like, oh wow, I wish I would have either saved my money or spent it on better stuff so that I could still like have something now, right? Once the season's over and you're in. So enjoy the season you're in, embrace the season you're in. This is longer than I wanted to go. I didn't want this to be a whole long thing, but this is something that's so important to me. In Philippians, Paul talks about, I've learned to be content in every single season. Whether I've had seasons where I've had a lot, where I've had a little, but I'm content in every season. And I think that's so important. That's why, my bio, I think on Instagram, is always content, never satisfied. I like to push for more. I always want to. I got that competitive nature. I have this, whatever it is in me that wants to be great in everything that I do, but in life. But I can't be but I have a hard time. Sometimes I get frustrated with where I'm at in the season because I'm looking at what's next, or sometimes I'm concerned about what's next. So I can't fully embrace and enjoy the season I'm in right now. So I just want to encourage you, embrace the season that you're in. Be content in this season and get the most out of this season. Give the most into the season. Commit to the season. Be present in the season, because this is all we got. So again, whether it's the next 10 minutes or 10 years or a lifetime, everything you have should be focused on this season right now, and giving God all that you have and all to his purpose in this season right now. So thank you guys for watching. Again, let me know in the comments if you have some other things you want to see, you want me to talk about. If you have some comments on this idea of the season and embracing the season that you're in right now, put them in the comments. Let me know. I'd love to continue the conversation. And can you guys pray for me as I do this internship this year? I'm really excited, and I think I have a good plan, and I've done my homework for sure. And I got good people around me, but I could use some extra prayers as I go into this new season, as we all do. And so thank you guys, and I'll have another video for you soon. Until then, I'll see you next time.